Rampage is the latest Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson film, and this one is very loosely based off of a video game series that started out as arcade machines and then later went on to have releases on different consoles, including the Nintendo 64, a couple of the PlayStations, and the most recent one was actually on the original Wii. In the games, you were able to play any number of humans who have been mutated into these giant animals, and you basically go around and destroy things, devour things, things like that. And I've actually played some of the old arcade machines when I was a kid, namely Rampage and Rampage World Tour. Getting into the loosely based on realm, in this film the primary focus is George, who is an albino gorilla living in an enclosure in the San Diego Zoo, as well as his primatologist, played by The Rock. When a rogue genetic experiment has gone awry, it affects George as well as a white wolf and an American alligator, causing all three of them to grow exponentially, and just makes them really aggressive. And as I mentioned before in the premise of the original games, you can probably spell out for yourselves what the third act entails. It's basically all three of them show up in a city all at the same time and they just break shit. All mayhem ensues, you know, people die, people get bitch slapped, I don't know, stuff like that, you know.
Explosions everywhere, it feels
like a Michael Bay film. And it's up to The Rock, a discredited scientist played by Naomi Harris, and a government agent played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan to, well, you know the cliche lines.
Save the world! Save the world! Save the world!
Going into this movie, I really didn't expect anything out of it. I mean, I was already disappointed when I learned that they would not actually be including the idea of humans mutating into animals and then the animals mutating back into their human forms once they were defeated. I feel like that would actually make the film a little bit more interesting, especially for people who've never played the games. But I just have to live with whatever I got, and what I ended up getting with, I was honestly generally okay with, but I do... okay, I'm a little bit down the middle on it, and you'll see what I mean. Let's just get it out of the way first. The overall film is garbage, really, but it does have a few things that make it entertaining, and actually to showcase everything that I mean, I will, I'm still trying to get used to this format because I haven't been doing it recently, but I am, for this video, definitely going to do a pro and con list, starting with the pros. The Rock is one of the most charismatic and extremely likable actors working today, and also it doesn't hurt the fact that he is basically considered one of the last great action stars, or at least the modern action star for our generation, and has shown in the past that he can bring more quality to shit films, and Rampage is really no exception. He makes every scene that he's in either bearable or just plain fun. Small mention, but I did actually enjoy the interaction and connection between The Rock and George. Those were some of the nicest and even some of the funniest scenes in the movie. Jeffrey Dean Morgan as this government agent with a thick southern drawl and this cowboy attitude was actually quite a bit of fun, and in the trailers his character came across as somebody that I don't think that I would necessarily like. However, I should have actually remembered that this is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and he's usually good in the things that he's in. I mean, I never got into the Negan train because I thought that the quality of The Walking Dead dropped starting in the second season, so, you know, I wasn't around for the Negan train. But I will always know Morgan as the head of the Winchester clan in Supernatural, another show that I discontinued after a season or two, and also the fact that he played the comedian in Watchmen, which I did enjoy I did enjoy his role in that movie. I would have to look back and see how I feel about the movie now, because I remembered that I mostly liked it, but anyway, I'm rambling now. We're still on just Jeffrey Dean Morgan in Rampage. Basically, Morgan is entertaining in this movie, and because I already expect The Rock to shine in pretty much anything that he's in, I kind of had a better reaction to Morgan's performance because of that. The third act, where all three monsters caused the majority of their destruction, was actually kind of fun and stupid. I mean, really, there's nothing else that I can put with that. Just fun and stupid. Now that we have the pro list done, let's get on to the con list. Malene Ackerman and Jake, I think it was Jake, I don't even care anymore. They play this brother-sister duo of evil corporate villains who are responsible for the experiment getting out, and they were just painful to watch. I mean, the brother was this nervous, twitchy guy who was always freaking out about everything and anything, and by contrast, his sister was this unfeeling, non-humanitarian twat who only ever had one expression on her face, and that's basically boredom. She looked bored throughout the entire film, and she didn't really care about anything that was going on. Sorry. Anyway, back to her character. I kind of envisioned her as a villain that was written for a Bond movie, but then her character was discarded when the writers realized that she was a shit character. But then the director of Rampage found the concept page of her character and thought, hey, this would be a good villain to put in my video game movie. You know, if you had left their scenes out, I think that the movie would have been a little bit better, at least. The scientist played by Naomi Harris is very one-note, being a person who has, you know, info that's needed, but is basically just somebody who points in the direction that the Rock needs to go towards. And what's worse is that there's no chemistry between Harris and the Rock. It's just, their interactions come across as awkward at best. I also don't think that she does a very good job in the film, but hell, I don't even think that Naomi Harris is that good of an actress. I mentioned last year in my Moonlight review that, you know, where I said in my personal opinion that I don't see why she was nominated for an Oscar for that film, because the character, while it was well written, her performance didn't convince me enough to believe that she was feeling the emotions that she was trying to convey. And I'm not saying that she's a particularly bad actress, but she's not amazing, and Rampage definitely does not do her any good credit whatsoever. Disregarding what I said earlier about the filmmakers leaving out that really cool part about the video games where the humans mutating and stuff like that, which I guess technically makes that con number 3. Con number 4 is about the rest of the film and how it's written and just a few things about like how it's presented, including the dialogue. And I mean, where do I even really start? The issues with the writing are so numerous that I can't even put them all into just one con, so I'm just gonna do it as like a subcategory. There are many jokes that don't land. There are random characters introduced in the first 10 minutes that seem to be like they would be recurring, but then for some reason they disappear once that 10 minutes is up. The Rock's character gets hurt a lot, and somehow survives each mortal wounding, even to the point where he's shot and he still survives. Even things that should have made him bleed out and die, he survives from. The filmmakers, for some reason, put a Rampage arcade machine in the office of the villains, and it just felt wrong because it was showcased in multiple shots. I mean, I would have thought that the filmmakers would have tried to distinguish itself a little bit from the video game, especially because of the fact that it's loosely based off of it, and also, you know, like, other than the fact that the experiment in the movie is referred to as Project Rampage, but no, they had to poke fun at us and basically remind us, hey, it's a video game movie. The dialogue is atrocious. I don't even know how to describe it without spoiling anything, so I'm just gonna go with this. There's the part where one of the villains, or specifically the sister, and Naomi Harris's characters are kind of interacting on top of a building, and they're basically fighting, and she does a certain thing, and basically the sister says, you know, what the hell are you doing? And then right before she's eaten by George, she actually says, or Naomi Harris actually says, I'm feeding the gorilla his food. And I'm like, oh my god, are you actually fucking serious? What the fuck is this dialogue? This movie was distributed by Warner Brothers, and I guess the writers decided, or they were told to by Warner Brothers, to write in dialogue referencing to a few of their properties and films, including a random-ass, out-of-left-field reference to Blood Diamond that just made no sense as to why it was there, and including one reference to Justice League, where Naomi Harris's character asks Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, you know, what agency he's with, and then she lists things like CIA, Homeland Security, and then randomly drops Justice League as a sarcastic answer. And you could tell that it was lip service to the fact that Jeffrey Dean Morgan had a cameo in Batman v Superman as Thomas Wayne, and also the fact that with Flashpoint on the horizon, people are looking to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan play Thomas Wayne version of Batman. And you know what? I noticed something when that joke was made, because in every dumb movie that I've been to ever since I started this channel, there's always audience members who go to these, and they will laugh at fucking any joke. If it feels like it's being put up as a joke, they will laugh at it, even if it's not funny. And there were quite a few in my screening. From what I could discern from everybody that was sitting around me and the people that were in the room, there were at least 8 of these dumbasses. When that Justice League, I don't know why I'm having trouble saying words today, but when the Justice League nod came around, nobody laughed. Even, if anything, a few of those consistent laughers that were in the audience actually kind of cringed at the mention. I even heard a couple of the consistent laughers who were sitting right next to me talk about how too on the nose it was, and actually that was kind of funny for me. In the end, guys, Rampage really could have been a good guilty pleasure movie if they had really done it right. But if anything, people will just go to this movie to watch the action sequences that have been heavily spoiled thanks to the marketing campaign. And the film will just become forgotten after about a day. I know that I will be forgetting this movie the moment that I'm done editing and the moment that this video is done uploading onto my channel. I will have completely forgotten about this movie. Honestly, my recommendation is that if you are interested in seeing Rampage, see it. Just don't waste your money going to see it in a theater. It's not worth it. Just wait until it drops on Netflix or Showtime or HBO, places like that. And that is where I will end this review. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please don't hesitate to hit that like button down below. And also don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Well, the last thing that I need to do is just say farewell until the next video.